And we're live. Well, recapping last week's session, we picked up in the middle of combat in the burning remains of a inn and tavern, south side of the market district, Valimar, with the party at odds with Kalos Nalth and his Crimson Order minions, along with several construct beasts, mage hunters of sorts. The party defeated Kalos, rendering him quite dead, and took the upper hand in combat. Louis arrived towards the end, finally convincing his magical spectral book to turn into a flying carpet. Not certain if temporary or permanent, but we'll find out. And we saw the party escape with a trio of stellar dice rolls that meant they had no run-ins with the town guards or any figures of authority on their way out of the market district. Slipping back into Gloomlight Alley into the now vacant home at the far end of the street in the back corner of the alley, the party settled down for the evening with Lacerin, now perhaps a refugee, as well as a fellow they captured, one of the Crimson Order. With him tied to a chair, they questioned him, learning a few things. They brought a recent acquaintance of Rogar's, priest of Bahamut, by the name of Chrono in, and he was able to stitch together the rough position of the hideout of the Crimson Order, and perhaps where they're keeping the Genasi they've captured. As tonight's session begins, the party is settling down for a long rest, and we'll just give them an opportunity to have a quick chat if they want, before we push that long rest button, which they've actually already pushed. And see where we go next. So we'll pick up that night, after the rough and tumble events in the burning building. Even at this distance, a good, half mile away, you can still hear clamor in the distance, and the smell of smoke now has spread through the streets a bit. Louis, just a heads up, I believe you guys looted 4 of those wands of magic missiles off of dead guy, Deddy McMaunslinger back in the day. 2 of them are proper and recharge, and 2 of them are one shot only. Like, they have 7 charges and then they shatter.
Oh, I know I had one that I blew all 7 charges at once, and then we said it was done, and so I just threw it to the side, but I thought this one did get charges back. I could be wrong, though.
Yeah, I think you guys had 4 of them total.
Yeah, you had 2 of them, and then you gave 2 of them to me.
So each one of you has one that recharges, and one that doesn't. So just make a note of that.
Gotcha.
Well,
all right. So
actually,
mine
Louis doesn't need to make a note of that because he's down to 1. Scribble, we'll see which one yours is in the morning. I'll roll for it.
I would say you might want to roll because I used one in that last fight.
Yeah, you used all 7 charges of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But only of one of them, right?
Right.
Okay. The one that you used seems to be okay. Like, it's still intact. And you wake in the morning to find that it's regained... I believe you have to roll for it, right?
yeah, I should regain D6 plus 1 daily at dawn.
Yeah, so you just roll a D6 plus 1. There you go. So it must be the other one that's one-time use. You can put a note on it, or modify it or whatever to indicate that it's does not recharge. That evening, after questioning the captive, whose name I've already forgotten. In fact, I'm not sure I provided a name in the first place.
No.
I don't think he'd give a name.
No, he did not either. Just an acolyte.
Yep. We left off with you guys in your little hideout with Chrono, Lysarin, and your captive. Yeah, there we go. Turd Ferguson. Let's call him Turd Ferguson. Are there any other questions you want to ask? Sorry, and there's something I should have mentioned in the recap. Searching Kalos Nalth's lifeless form, you did find a large brand on his chest and shoulder. Symbol that you didn't recognize, but one that Chrono was able to identify. The mark of Orcus, the demon prince of undeath.
Right, and we confirmed it's a brand, not a tattoo, yeah?
It's a brand, right? Indicating a strong conviction for that cause.
I guess Noro kind of goes to the party, not familiar with Orcus or any of this stuff. And he just kind of mentions out loud to the party and in front of the acolyte. It's like, and what is this Orcus? Is this something they summon?
Chrono speaks up and says, he is a demon prince, a lord of undeath. And he's gonna make a religion check. Advantage. Yeah, I'm rolling actual dice for secret DM dice.
I hear it.
Yeah, it's fun. I haven't done it in a million years, so I figured I'd do it just for flavor. He says, the rise and fall of demons and devils is not well documented, as goings on in the abyssal planes are not always exposed to mortal eyes. But there is rumor that he fell from his station of power, from godhood, as it were. Some time ago, some years ago. Many of those who followed him were rooted out, destroyed, banished from this plane. It is troubling to find his followers, and might signal turn of the tide, a coming darkness. Rogar, when you last spoke to Chrono, did you mention anything about the green flame, the balefire?
I thought you did.
I think so.
I think you did, and I think he was going to, look into it. Yeah. Alright. As he speaks about Orcus, you can see the look on his face change to one of recognition. And he looks towards Rogar. This green flame you spoke of. I see a thread between it and this man who follows a fallen demon lord. There is a powerful presence, not a physical artifact, but a remnant of the Dark One, the breath of Orcus, said to transform anyone it touches to the undead, but is sealed away in the abyssal plane, along with other remnants of body, other vestiges. Perhaps this man you killed and those he works with, and he looks at the captive. Perhaps they are looking to release such an evil upon the world. To please their master, perhaps even to fuel his ascension back to godhood.
Didn't the Acolyte mention that their quote-unquote goal was to send the Genasi back to their home planes to send them home?
Mm-hmm.
He did. His claim was that and he seemed quite he seemed like he very much believed in what they were doing. That there was an event that affected the stability between the planes, that disrupted the natural order of the planar cosmology some years ago. Making reference very, very likely to the whatever it was, the experiment gone wrong that took Lunelli's parents. Are you talking about the background music in the stream,
Yes.
or for you specifically?
I'm just talking about whatever's playing in the background, what I have playing. It's louder than it was last week.
What do you have playing? Is it coming from Twitch, or is it coming from your Roll20?
No, it's coming from Roll20.
Okay, I fiddled with the volume levels
Okay,
to do a sound test, so
that's fine. I'll adjust it while you keep going.
Yeah, so in the jukebox, the volume levels might not be the same. The top
They're
and
not.
bottom may not be the same as what they were. The middle one I didn't touch.
Yeah, keep going.
So the captive member of the Crimson Order, the captive acolyte, referenced an event that disrupted the stability between the planes that caused portals to open, linking the prime material plane temporarily with elemental planes. He mentioned Lunalia's hometown, or the town near where she grew up, and said it's not there anymore, swallowed up by a massive portal. That it's happened in other places as well. And they are seeking to round up all of the plane-touched beings from these other planes that have traveled here since then, or are a result of that instability between the planes, and send them home. Seal these portals, deconstruct whatever was built that is creating this instability that's threatening the prime material now, and put things back to the way they were. He did not seem too entirely bothered by his master's brutal tactics, killing everybody and burning the evidence, which kind of indicates they're not great people, and they're kind of willing to go to lengths. But he did seem very surprised that his master was secretly following a Dark Lord. Louis would know that the Crimson Order is a they exist to police wizards, to correct wrongs, great wrongs, done by evil liches and archmages. They really only show up when somebody's made a big mess, and they try and put things back together. Their methods can be brutal and cruel, but are usually exacted to fix huge problems that could threaten the world. They're kind of a necessary evil. It's not entirely clear who runs their order or who they answer to, but they have deep ties within some of the major governments around Pacifica, as well as across the other planes. Was there anything else you guys wanted to know from this guy, or anything else you want me to recap from what he said last week?
Nope.
Nope,
Alrighty.
I don't need anything else from him.
All right. Well, as you settle in for a night's rest, does anybody want to take watch, or are you just gonna lock the doors, or bar the doors, or go somewhere else, or what are you doing?
I can take first watch.
And I will take the second.
All right. Anyone for third?
Yeah, I can.
I think that covers it with Linalia's watch being a little longer than the others, right?
Yeah.
Rogar. Everyone settles down for the night. Your captive is still tied up, with the party not really having decided what to do with him yet. You settle in for a watch. Go ahead and make a perception check. All right, using your shield's extra sensitive augment to your perception, you listen and watch, pacing slowly from one side of the building to the other on its main floor. It seems quiet. Soft footsteps behind you as Chrono approaches. My friend, I thought to return to look on those who I am giving refuge to. Do you need me for anything else here?
No, I think we might be fine here. But our elven friend, Lysarin, we think he needs a safe place to lie low for a while. He was unfortunately caught up in the whole thing back at the tavern, and we managed to save him, but we're worried about him returning back to his shop.
I can give him a safe place. I doubt one of his stature will enjoy the quarters much, but I have food and a clean bed for him to stay in. It is hopefully enough.
I'm sure as long as he's in a safe place for a couple days, he might not mind. Hopefully.
Leave him to me. I will make sure he's safe. I do wish that you and your blue-skinned friend would visit her people soon.
We most likely will. Maybe after we, I don't know, talk things through or see about the Minted Terrace.
You think they have more?
If they do, I mean, it's a good idea to release them. I'm sure she would feel better about them.
Well, if you find more, send them my way. I will give them refuge for as long as I can. I have put out a call. Others will be coming soon. We will do
That's
our
good to
best to
hear.
defend them.
Thank you.
He places his hand on your shoulder, and his eyes glow a little brighter. May the great dragon's wings surround you, protect you. May his strength fill you with purpose. All will be right, as he sees fit. Carry out his will. Defend the defenseless. Stand up for those who cannot stand. I will see you soon. Be safe.
You as well. Oh, and what should we do with the acolyte? I have a feeling I know what my companions would like to do with him, but
He looks over at the man still tied to the chair and his eyes narrow. I will leave him to you. Call it a test. He smiles.
a test.
Well, Saren, let's go. The elf, just sitting calmly on a chair in the corner, opens one eye, then the other. Right. Well, I look forward to seeing you all soon. I'm sorry for the trouble we got into. I thank you for getting me out of it. You can see he's still, even though he's been healed, he moves slowly and stiffly, as if he's been through a physical ordeal that one of his nature is not used to. He bows deeply at you, Rogar, and says, "As soon as things are right again, I have payment for the other components. I do hope that you find Master Aloro and are able to finish your deal with him."
I'm sure we'll be in contact with him within the coming days.
I know a few people, but I don't know who I can trust yet after what's happened. So I will take it slow. Reach out to one or two, and then others. If I learn anything, I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Bows again and follows Chrono out. You watch them walk down the street a ways and disappear around a corner into the night. And the rest of your watch is quiet. You fetch Linelia, and she begins hers. Linelia, go ahead and make a perception check. Oh, that is a roll. An hour or so into your watch, you observe a lone man dressed in just a shamble of tattered clothing stagger drunkenly down the street. And again, you're in the very far back corner of this alley, back here on the map where the terrace above you meets the wall in sort of a corner, just a pocket where a few buildings stand at the end of a street. The building you're in being on the very end of the block. Not more than 30 feet or so from this cliff that rises above you with homes that sit 70 or 80 feet up. You see this man stagger, lean against a building for a while, perhaps to take a piss. Stagger a little bit further and just collapse in a doorway. There's something not quite right about the way he collapses. He falls down, sort of with his back propped against the doorstop, the door jamb. But instead of his chin slumping to his chest as if he passed out, his head sort of leans back, and you can see the glitter of starlight in his eyes. He is watching you. Perhaps not you, but the building you're in.
Sorry, how far away is he?
About 40 feet. couple of buildings down and sitting in a doorway. You know, typical hobo in the doorway. You know, like he's kind of slumped into the doorway to sleep for the night. But you see the glitter of very clearly open eyes as he watches the building intently.
You're not fooling anyone.
Do you say that just out loud?
Yep. If he's only 40 feet away, she doesn't really need to yell. She's talking to him without shouting at him.
He doesn't say anything. Doesn't move. Just sits there watching.
Which one do you work for?
You see a smile break across his face, and he kind of turns his head towards the doorway that he's sitting in, closes his eyes, and leans his head on his shoulder, as if sleep.
You wouldn't mind rolling up your sleeves, would you?
He doesn't respond.
So she'll just sort of give a snort and she'll go back inside to sort of check the back door and stuff like that. See if there's anybody watching from out back.
You're muted.
I'm muted?
No, me. With that perception check, you notice a similar man in the alley out back. A similar distance away. Sitting surrounded by a couple of maybe bags of trash, refuse, that are out behind one of the buildings across the street from you. You know, you first see a booted foot sort of extended out from a figure, you know, lying or perhaps sitting on the street, obscured partially by bags of garbage. And then you see a bit of movement and twinkle of eyes.
This one she's gonna walk to within 10 feet of.
Okay. He, as you start walking his way, very unexpectedly for him, he kind of scrambles and shuffles, you know, kicking his feet and standing up.
Oh, don't get up on my account. I was just out to bring the trash. Clearly, this is where it accumulates.
Shots fired.
He holds his hands up slowly. Arms exposed, you see no markings on them. Perhaps some scars. Dirt. Look, I don't want no trouble. I was just asked to keep an eye on yous.
By who?
You know.
Yes, clearly I know, and that's why I'm asking.
He doesn't say it out loud, but he takes his 2 index fingers and puts them up in front of his forehead.
Ah. The red one. Go on, nod, yes?
He nods. He's just looking out for you. That's all.
I'm sure he is. Well, I'll let you return to your whatever you're doing. And she'll head back.
You see out of the corner of your eye, he just kind of, you know, nervously looks up and down the street and shrugs and just slowly sits back down where he was. Like, okay, I guess I'm gonna keep doing this.
She assumes that the guy out front is the same, but there's no way of knowing without her talking to him, so she'll just continue to, you know,
could be one from
periodically.
each. Who
One
knows?
from each.
Only one of these two,
Yeah.
really has an idea where this place is or who used to be here. As your shift is about to end, you hear a voice in your ear. The voice of Kelder Maloro. I hope you're safe. Thanks to your friend, I am as well. I retrieved my assistant, but not Ember. I'd like to meet, to talk. Tell me where you are, or suggest a place. Soon. I have to leave. It's the end of the message. If that was more than 25 words, then he burned 2 spell slots. So be it.
That was close enough, I would say.
That's funny.
So she will say in response, we can't meet here, it's watched. What's his face? Rogar didn't tell me where, my people are being kept. Like, where what's his face is watching them, right? Taking
No.
care of them? Okay.
Can you reply to sending her message?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with 25 words.
So yeah, can't meet here, it's watched.
I'm not city folk, I don't know.
Yeah. She's trying to think of where is a good place. She saw a place when she was walking along the docks, out between some of the smaller merchant vessels, that has a lot of traffic, but nobody really paying attention to people standing around. So she will say to him, there's a place at the docks near the small merchant vessels. Let's meet there after dawn, just after dawn.
He replies with one more message. Says, good. I'll be in disguise. Look for a hat with a large white feather in it. I'm assuming you're bringing your friends. Perhaps keep them at a distance and hidden. The Order knows who you are now.
I can only try. Some are harder to hide than others. But I will be there.
Alright, no response to that, but
She's
imagine
thinking, can
that's...
I get Noro into a fancy dress and pretend he's a barmaid?
Oh, hello!
Oh no. Nora wouldn't be able to be a barmaid. Nora would just drink the drinks he's supposed to bring.
Well, maybe.
Did you just buy me 2? Thank you.
Awesome. Alright, your watch ends... sorry, who was it that's taking the next?
I was.
Ah.
Monsieur Oiseau.
Scribble, as you stand watch and the others get their rest, do you step out of the building so that you're visible at all, or do you watch from inside?
I'm just watching from inside.
Okay. Perhaps...
Well, I mean, would Lunalia have mentioned the people are watching?
Yes, when she turned over her watch, she would have told about the guy across the street that wouldn't answer her and the guy out back that said he was sent by Silas.
I would have stayed inside, but I might have tried to get a view of them from a window.
Covertly, or so that they could see you?
No, covertly.
Okay. Make a stealth check.
Oh, nice.
I actually need to look something up because it's close. I rolled a nat 20, but I don't know what their plus stealth is. Zero. Okay. There's a wasted natural 20. On a real die, too, for the first time in like a year. Good times. Yeah, you spot... oh, sorry, actually make a perception check, too. With advantage. You've got some intel.
Well, now you know what you have to beat. Ah, there you go.
That's nice.
Well, no, the natural 20 I rolled was a perception check to notice Scribble as he peeked. But they did not. With a 27, you're very aware of both. One of them seems to actually be asleep or is doing a very, very good job of it. The other one is somewhat obviously still watching your building. They haven't moved from the positions that Linelia described. And you might take that as a good sign, that they're not intending to do anything, especially as dawn is, well on its way.
She also would have told Scribble at the handoff about being contacted by Keldrum.
So did we just have this acolyte just tied up, just chilling here in the living room?
As far as I know.
I mean, unless you want to stick a dagger in his ribs or something, he's, like, it's your world, do whatever you want in it.
I would ask Lunalia what her plans are for this guy.
He just works for the men in charge. He doesn't seem to really know anything, and as much as I dislike it, he seems to think they're doing the right thing. I don't know if we should turn him over to the authorities, or just cut him loose. I don't really know.
You realize you can't turn him over to the authorities, right?
Well, they wouldn't do anything. The authorities are the ones hand in hand with this.
As long as you understand that.
I think we probably could just turn him loose. Maybe watch where he goes, track him, I don't know.
Alright, we'll decide in the morning.
As soon as he's not looking, she'll slit his throat. No, I'm kidding.
Bloodthirsty.
Wouldn't be
She's
surprised.
not!
Oh, lol, JK, JK. Alright, Scribble, towards daybreak, as your watch is nearing its end, you're sitting by one of the windows, keeping an eye and an ear out. And from the shadows, you become aware of a presence. As a figure steps softly from the shadows and sits down next to you. Is your longtime follower, the grave cleric, Talisa. She just sits down next to you quietly.
Hello there.
Your city is hard to move through, except at night. The shadows are deep. There's so much life. Not like where I'm from.
It's got its charms.
So this is where it began. Where you first felt the touch of her shadow. You know, he lived here for a time. The one who called himself the Spider. He didn't look like what he looks like now. Or what he looked like when he died. I think an illusion he cast upon himself. It wasn't clear. The dead can only say so much, and only so often. But from what I gleaned from him, he lived here a time. To learn this place, to learn the people here. To learn of his purpose, he called it? I'm not sure. He is, or was, one of hers. Our mistress, the Raven Queen. What he had, what you have, she bestowed upon him. I think, at least, it's unclear as are so many of her actions, but it is something she does from time to time. I do not know what her purpose is for you, or if the gift she gave you was even intended for you. But it is yours. And I believe you will do something great with it.
That's yet to be seen. There's a lot of stuff that may need to be done.
He just nods quietly. Beware. As you saw with the spider, her power can be used for evil. To bring darkness. If that happens, you will have proved me wrong. And those that have come for you before will not be the only ones. She looks at you and there is a dangerous look in her eyes. Be on guard. They are still after you. I've done what I can, and I will continue to try and protect you from afar, but... well, I can only slow them so much. Stands up as if to leave.
Well, if I do disappoint you, make it quick.
She smiles and nods once, turns and melts into shadow. And shortly after that, the sky begins to lighten as dawn approaches. Sounds of the city about you waking up fill your ears, making it a little hard to keep a lookout for anything happening close by, as the background din of the city awakening ramps up. Nevertheless, morning comes. You all find yourselves at the tail end of a long rest, and perhaps with a little something to do here in the morning.
Time to wake up.
That's Noro. Breakfast!
Yes, let's eat quick. We have a meeting to get to.
Yes, I'll get right on it.
Which meeting do we have?
Keldra Maloro contacted me in the middle of the night. He sounds like he's about to leave town and needs to meet before he does. Here is not safe. It's been watched. I don't know if both Silas and Ham and Sam or other interested parties. I just know that there were two watching the building from front and back. One was definitely employed by Silas. For our safety.
And where are you saying this at?
I'm saying this to the group.
In front of your captive or not?
She doesn't care if the captive hears. We need to decide what we're doing with this one before we're on our way.
And what are we doing with this one?
I'm of a mind to just cut him loose. He's not a bad sort. Just seems to be working for the wrong people. It's my opinion that he believes he's doing the right thing.
Well, if he's a spellcaster, maybe he has a focus. We could remove that from him. And then set him loose, just to make sure.
Does he know things that can hurt us?
Only what was discussed in front of him.
He's watching you all, listening to you decide his fate.
I mean,
What do you think we should do?
We could cut off his hands. It's very hard to cast spells without those. What do you think, sir? She says to him. What would you do if we were to turn you loose?
I think if you were smart, you'd kill me here on the spot. But if you were smarter, you'd let me go and see what I could find out.
Are you saying you would report back to us with information?
I'm saying I don't like what I heard about Kalos Nalth. I want to see his body for myself, if it was recovered, and if it wasn't, well, I need to find some things out. Ooh, a nat 20. Damn.
Yeah. Lunalia will make one as well.
I'll wait for his roll before I reveal anything. He is a hard read even with a 21. But he seems honest, or at least a man of conviction. A man dedicated. From everything you've heard him say, he seems to be dedicated to the purpose he stated. He seems to believe in what they were doing. Believe in order. And there might be something in that. If there's a threat to my order from within, it is my duty to find it and root it out. If that threat exists and Kalos Nalth was part of it, then I owe you a debt. If that threat is real, your best hope is to let me go. I've observed you all. I've heard you speak openly in front of me with enough others that I doubt this could be a ruse. Certainly not all of you are capable of weaving one so complex. My fate is in your hands, but your best bet is to let me go. I don't know that much about you. If you're smart, you won't stay here. And you know if you let me go, Those genasi we've gathered will not be where we have them currently for long. So I suppose you have a decision to make.
We were told that the Order knows about us. Is there anything you'd be able to do to make it take them longer to find us?
Convince me. I've seen your faces, I've seen you in action. And I've heard a fair amount of your story. Convince me why I shouldn't send them after you for what you've done.
I mean,
He looks around the group of you. What is your purpose in all of this? What are you trying to achieve?
I'm trying to set my people free.
And you don't believe your people are part of the problem. That's
I do not.
by no fault of their own. But those who are not from here need to go home for us to solve this.
Why? And on whose authority? Whose decision? You didn't ask my people, you didn't ask any of them, you've just arbitrarily decided to poof them through a portal. Are you sure that all of them have come from somewhere else? You seem to think that I did.
He kind of looks to the side, and then down at the ground, and then back at you. My orders
I
came
know of
from
3 in this city. 3 that did not just poof through a portal.
My orders came from one that you claim is compromised. Worked for a Dark Lord. My first thing to do is determine if those orders were only from him or from someone above him, and then determine if that someone has also been compromised. So, from your perspective, the worst that will happen if you let me go is those we hold captive will be moved. I give you my word they will be safe insofar as whatever capacity I have to keep them that way. My intent is not to harm them. You feel fairly confident he's being honest about that. But then I need time.
these rituals, or whatever, to send them home. Have you seen them before?
No, I've seen them sequestered away, but I've not been privy to the... I would assume it would be something as simple as a planar transference. Not a simple spell, and not one known to many, but, well, the more practiced among our order can cast it.
Yes, but you've already explained to us that your higher-ups are not exactly what you expected. Why would they be telling you the truth in this? This is what you believe.
Exactly. I don't entirely trust the order now. Not after this.
Where do they do this?
As I said, if you kill me here, you learn nothing more, and if you let me go, they will be moved.
Then perhaps we just keep you here.
Well, that would very much like breakfast. He just kind of leans back and shuts up. Oh, and if it's not too much trouble, after breakfast, if you could untie me so I could take a shit. That would be fantastic.
Does anyone here have a locate object?
Not prepared.
Not prepared or anything, but just the ability to cast it.
Yes.
just Lunalia, or
Louis might have access to it.
This is not something I know.
Let me just double check, make sure. I have locate creature.
You have things that get stuck in the air, but can't locate the object.
Oui. Magic
Yes.
is a very specific thing.
I have access to locate object. I just don't have it prepared.
okay. Rogar's gonna hand you the mask.
Ah.
Which mask was that? Is that the one you took off
Mask
of?
I took off of this acolyte.
Yep, she'll have a really good look at it. And then she will hand it back to the acolyte. I say we just let him go.
Well, I mean, if you guys had that conversation in front of him, he understands that, but he also knows that that spell doesn't just apply to that one mask. Like, if he destroyed that mask, he could use the spell to find another similar mask.
Well, it's simple. Rogar, did you say it in front of him, or were you speaking out of character?
Oh, I was speaking out of character. Like, Rogar is busy making breakfast, and so he would just hand the,
Oh yeah,
the
you're not
mask over to
really in the
someone.
room. Yeah, if that was the case, you know,
So just
she
make
would,
it clear. Did you have that conversation in front of him or not?
No.
Okay.
she would infer by him handing her the mask what he means.
I highly doubt that.
I can
Or-
roll an insight.
We're talking
mean,
about letting him go.
You guys
Rogar
could
is-
just have a chat away from him. It just
Yeah,
needs to
then
be...
let's say we're talking in the kitchen.
Yeah, it just needs to be clear that, because, you know, anything you say in front of the wizard, he's gonna...
Yeah, the locate object spell is pointless if he knows that we know how to use it.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, we'll have that conversation in the kitchen away from him. And then she'll say, you know, as she hands back the mask, you should take your robes, take your mask. And
Of
it's my
course
opinion
not.
we can let him go.
Is he a wizard specifically?
I don't think we know what he is.
Yeah, it's not entirely... Actually, no, it is entirely clear. You would have found a spell book on him, so yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
he is
Your inspection of his spell book would reveal him to have the capability to cast first and second level spells.
I'll hold on to that.
His spell book?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then, if you so wanted, come on, D&D Beyond, you can load faster than that. You would be able to learn... You already know Shield. Burning Hands, or Disguise Self, you'd be able to transcribe either of those, if you don't have them already.
I'll just hold on to it for now.
Okay.
What do the rest of you think? Turn him loose? Kill him? Cut his hands off?
I say we let him loose. Keep his spell book so he can't really do anything to us. But let him loose.
He's your prisoner.
Noro's just more like, don't put that back on yet. We're about to have breakfast.
Yeah,
Oh,
she
right.
has pointedly not told any. She told them that we're meeting with Keldra Maloro, or that we have
But
a
not
meeting to
where.
get to. Sorry, she told Scribble about Keldra Maloro, but not where.
All right. Well, then cutting to the chase, you have breakfast. You feed your captive, and I'm guessing you let him go.
Yeah, Rogar will let him go.
All right. As you untie him, he rubs his wrists where he was bound, stands up stiffly, holds his hands out as if to take back anything you want to give him back before he leaves. No?
Just the mask.
Well, yeah, he has his robes on still, I guess.
Well, no.
I destroyed the robes.
Yeah, the robes are
Oh,
destroyed.
well, then that's all he gets.
He takes the mask, turns it over in his hands, hands it back to you. As a token of trust, he smiles, hands it to you, turns and walks away.
Oh shit.
Are you sure you don't want to take this? Don't you need to wear it?
He just smiles, and he turns to Rogar specifically and says, "If I wanted to get in touch with you, I'm assuming you won't be here, just as my people won't be where they currently are for long."
Correct.
Linolia's going to walk right up to him and get in his face and push the mask right against his chest. I insist that you take it. But she's going to make a sleight of hand, which she's terrible at, to slip one of the pebbles from her pouch for her sling into one of his pockets.
All right.
Oh, God.
You got this.
You can do it. You can do it.
Well, can I though?
Can you... He doesn't seem to notice as you slip the pebble into his pocket.
Oh my god.
Amazing.
Nice.
I rolled a 10 and he's got nothing to his perception. Yeah, these guys are like challenge rating 1/4. This guy's shit. He's like a level 3.
I mean, with 7 health, I imagine he's not going to be very strong.
Hey, he's got 9.
9, sorry.
He is the magical equivalent, like the Monsters Guide portrait for Apprentice Wizard is like a 12-year-old kid.
Ah, got it.
But I mean, they're canonically they're equivalent to like a city guard, right? They're like the caster version of town guard, which has like 11 hit points.
Yeah, so she's shoving it at his chest very forcefully. I insist that you take this.
He takes it, smiles, and just says, "You might want to wear one yourself. Or don't, and find out where your people go, I guess." Turns back to Rogar, now completely ignoring you. "So, neutral party or place? If you're all right about your claims, you could be useful to me."
Scribble, is there anywhere that might be a mutual place?
One that we didn't just burn down.
I mean,
We? What do you mean we?
or someone to leave a message with that is neither friend nor foe, or something.
I don't know if this guy would have access to anyone.
He already knows who Lassarian is. If you need to get in touch with us, get a message to Lassarian.
That'll work.
Well, that'll be difficult. Lysaren's in hiding.
Well, better than nothing. Perhaps someone in his ranks capable of casting Sending knows Lysarin. Or they can find somebody in the city who knows Lysarin and get a message to him. Yeah, interesting. Right, I'll be on my way then. You weren't the worst hosts I've stayed with, he says somewhat awkwardly as he makes for the door. Not 2 seconds after he's outside, you hear the sound of the mask shattering on the ground as he runs down the street. Leaving you all your morning.
Now she will fill everybody in on what Keldrum told her last night. We need to go and meet him quickly before he leaves town. He also said for you to stay out of sight. Now, I have no doubt of Scribble or Louis's capabilities. However, the two of you are a little tall, cumbersome, and unfortunately, you do stand out.
I don't know what you're talking about.
She's going to loan Noro her hat.
What is this?
This will make you look like anyone you want to look like.
It's like a musketeer's hat with a big giant, I think it's a purple feathery plume sticking out of it's a sight to behold. It is the hat that Darren Adermath wore when he went to battle with you guys. I don't remember where it is you took him, but he went somewhere with you. It's the hat he wore. Oh, he went to storm the castle with you guys.
Yeah. When you put it on and you assume the guise of someone else, the hat can look like anything. But for now, until you put it on, but for now, it is just a very, very ostentatious hat.
Wait, anyone? Anything?
Mm-hmm. Anyone.
Can he look like Louis?
I
mean, he could. The only problem is if somebody goes to, say, pat Louis in disguise on the head, they will be hitting probably your junk.
They'll be touching a different head.
They'll be patting his gnome head.
Yeah.
Hearing this conversation, like, Noro's curious, and he looks at Louis' Pierre's book. Even that?
No, you can't turn into Pierre's book.
Oh.
I don't think. I think it only lets you look like people.
And you cannot look like me as well. I will not allow it.
You could look like Louis' brother.
I've never
Chewy.
done this before.
Noro, maybe just a random person on the street might be easier.
You could look like an innkeeper that we've met, or any number of people that you can think of that we've met. Perhaps not one of the dark dwarves, or a drow, or anyone else that would call attention to themselves.
You could look like Deebs.
You could.
That's
although...
it.
Oh, Jesus.
I want to look like Deebs.
Boy.
Oh no, what have we done?
I mean, the only downside to that is you can only use it to look like someone, I think, a foot taller or shorter than you. So you'd look like a 6
Really
foot tall
tall
Deebs.
Perfect.
That's okay. Deebs had to grow up sometime.
Wow. Yeah, he hit his growth spurt at the ripe age of 52.
Yeah. 52. Oh my god, I forgot he was that young.
Yeah.
I'll look like Deebs then.
Very tall Deebs.
Yes.
Yeah, 52 in dwarf years is like 10.
I thought like as soon as they hit 50, they are technically a very young adult. Like
Yeah, it's like
17,
it's yeah,
That's
it's,
like
it's
they're
more
18.
like it's more like 15 to 18. It's the well, yeah, but I mean, if you think in a not sure about a fantasy setting, but in a medieval setting, you're talking about children go to work, right? Like they start working at a very young age. So a dwarf at age 50, like that's the age that Ice, your other character, went off and worked the forge for a bunch of years before he went out to have his adult life.
Would you like fries with that?
Yeah, so it's like exactly talking like, which is it's a huge contrast because Deeb's raised by humans who all aged in let's say the 40 years since he was rescued until now. Like he watched people grow old and die around him, and he's just feeling the fire of youth. He's only gotten more and more brash and headstrong and rambunctious and adventurous, as dwarves do in their young years, before they settle into a career.
So
Meanwhile,
if
all the
Nora's
humans
going
around
to,
him falling over
if
dead.
Nora's going to wear the hat, Lunalia will just pull her cloak up and she'll keep her hands covered and hope for the best.
Okay. Well then, Noro, you don the hat, and, let's see. Just looking it up quick. It does require attunement, so if you have 3 items attuned, you'll just need to pick one and replace it real quick. You don't have to, if you're just borrowing the hat for, the session, you don't have to do much other than just pick one of your 3 attuned items to swap it out with and just make a mental note of it. Or if it's an item that, like, your, I don't know, cloak of protection or whatever, and it's attuned, just unattune it so that it doesn't apply the bonus. And then while wearing the hat, you basically just think of what you want to look like, and poof, you look like.
Dunsies.
Yeah, you don't have to concentrate on it or anything.
And if you don't want to add it to your character sheet here, I will just link it there for you to click on and read. And if you just mouse over the spell, it'll describe the spell. I was reading up on Disguise Self because we used it a fair amount, and it really, the only real way to determine that it's an illusion is physical inspection. Like, there is no way you can really make a roll for it unless you just walk up and touch the person. So, covertly identifying someone in disguise can be really hard to do without, a complementary spell.
Or unless you know them and you ask them to talk.
Yeah.
Quick question before we get right back to it.
Mm-hmm.
I spent a shitload of money on something. I don't remember what it was. Oh, never mind.
Dragon armor.
It was armor.
Yeah, from Ron Swanson.
Right.
All right. So if there's nothing else the party wants to do, you head towards the docks district. Just move you. Oop. Uh-oh. You there on the
We've
map?
been flattened.
And I'm going to make the token a bit smaller. The sky is overcast as a bank of high clouds have moved in this day. It's cool, and there's a strong breeze that carries on it the scent of ocean air. As you reach the docks, that scent is amplified by just the smell of seawater and the decay of sea life all about you. The sounds of dock hands shouting at each other and moving crates and barrels of merchandise onto and off of trade ships here in the harbor fills your ears. You see crates and boxes of a variety of textiles, fruits, vegetable, large racks of salted meats, all sorts of things you could, things you can and can't even imagine coming off of these ships, going onto these ships. Linelia, you spot the area that you were talking about, that you'd seen earlier. A tangled web of docks with a variety of smaller ships, some of them local fishing vessels, and a few smaller merchant ships, perhaps those that just travel the channel between here and the Isle of Lyria, to Eastport. As you stroll out onto the dock trying to look inconspicuous, I need you to make a stealth check. This is just sort of to cover how well you hide your appearance. You could use stealth, you could also use deception. If you bring into it.
I think they're both garbage.
Well, deception
sure.
would be more to sort of cover your, how you're acting.
Yeah, she's gonna go with stealth.
And stealth is more like I'm acting normal, but I'm trying to cover up. And
Yeah, good job.
stay out of sight as much as possible. And are all of you going with her? As she walks out onto these docks, like
She would have explained to them to stay back a little bit.
what I'm envisioning is like like a decent size marina at any harbor, like a civilian marina, where like small sailboats and little yachts and stuff are parked, where you've got like the big several rows of floating docks, boats anywhere from 15 to like 40 feet in size, and so that the docks sort of weave in between the boats and ships, blocking a line of sight in places, where you could get in between a couple of ships on a dock and probably not be seen from more than 30 feet away, before line of sight is blocked by other vessels.
Yeah, she would have explained to them to stay back just a little bit. Try to look inconspicuous. She'll maybe take the last, 60 feet by herself.
All right. As you're walking about, won't make you make a check for it. You see a man who you think is Keldrum.
Is he by himself?
He does appear to be by himself. You could make a perception check, though. How many of you are staying within sight of her? Like, is somebody staying sort of back, watching for any suspicious characters that might approach from like town, or are you all going out onto the dock and just kind of trying to look casual?
I'd say Rogar's probably out on the dock looking casual, maybe talking to any sailors or anything, just kind of getting a general idea of like what's being brought in, maybe like seafood-esque stuff.
All right. Rogar?
Still,
Noro?
I'm gonna follow Linelia, but keeping a good distance behind, just monitoring, making sure it doesn't get hot.
Dribble?
I'll stay farther back.
Okay. So you're kind of back where the dock meets the shore, where the ramp runs down to the floating dock.
Yeah, I might try to keep an eye on like Rogar.
Yeah, he'd be an easy one to spot from a distance. And from where you're at, I guess you'd have the vantage point if anyone approaches from land. Looks suspicious. Why don't you all make a perception check, except for Linelia, who already made one?
oh, getting a little too invested in this conversation with him.
Wait, so how did you say you prepare your shrimp?
Yeah, legitimately, like
Jeez.
writing down notes.
Stupid costume. making me roll low.
And again, you look like a supersized Deebs.
Yeah, so I'm like adjusting my beard and I can't perceive anything.
I imagine this illusory Deebs walks a little funny too, you know, given he's like, 6 feet tall but dwarvish proportions. Like, there are some heads that turn as the largest dwarf they've ever seen walks out onto the dock. Your choice of disguise is actually so distracting, it might actually be of some benefit. It might actually buy Lunalia some privacy for her conversation, because it's so distracting. Like, you all know what a dwarf looks like. They aren't shaped like a human at all, and yet here's one that's like massive.
Lunalia's gonna get fucking captured, and none of us are gonna see it.
Yeah, like dwarves don't get beyond about 4'10" or so. So this is a strangely shaped human, or the biggest dwarf anybody's ever seen. Lunalia, you spot Kaeldrim, you think. How do you approach?
She'll get within 20 feet of him, and I guess she will try to, I don't know, make an insight check based on how he's standing or something to see if that's him.
Okay.
Oh god, yep, totally him.
Yeah, you're not really sure, but as his eyes meet yours, he nods and begins to walk your way.
I mean, just to be clear, he can't see my face.
Well, you're just wearing a hood, right?
She's got it pulled really deep so that you can't really see anything.
Okay. Well, he's still pretty sure it's you.
Okay.
He walks over, looking up and down the dock, and comes to stand just a couple of feet away. That's not much of a disguise.
No, it's not. There were others in the group that needed a disguise much more than I did, as you can see if you look behind me at all.
You notice as you're saying that he's already looking over your shoulder at the largest dwarf he's ever seen.
It was his idea.
Clearly. Clearly. I don't know where to begin. Are you at all concerned about payment?
No, not at the moment. I guess she would have grabbed the bag of colding.
Yeah, we kind of need to get rid of this thing.
I'm sure you'll find a way to pay us back.
No,
We're in no rush.
I have the coin here. I just thought to get it out of the way so we could talk.
Ah, well, here you go.
He takes the bag, and he hands you a much smaller, but fairly weighty sack of coin.
Did we discuss what the payment was going to be?
Yes. I'm looking.
10,000.
Yeah, I think it was 10,000 for that, and 600 platinum, 6,000 for the from Lysarin.
Cool. I didn't remember if there was a number for that or not.
Yeah. I don't know why I can't find it in my damn notes. Oh, I was on the wrong page. That's why. Yeah, I'm sure it's 10,000.
Yeah, I remember 10,000.
Yeah, it is 1,000 platinum. It's actually in grade bars, small, like platinum, I think they're 2.5 by 5 inch by 1.5 inch or 1 inch strips. Instead of
so she will tie that onto her, belt.
He doesn't bother to inspect what's in the bag. I don't recall if you showed it to him already or
We
not.
did.
But oh, that's right. Yeah, he's already inspected. He takes it from you and he says, "Did Lacerin make it out safely?"
Yes, at the end of all things.
Good. Good. He's a friend and a valuable business partner.
Well, he might be out of business for a little while. But he is someplace safe.
Not when I'm done with the order. They have Ember, and I'm going after her.
Do you know where they're keeping her?
He looks north at the Minted Terrace, which from here, you're out on the docks here. You can see it. There are still... oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot Louis. I got so used to Louis not being around because he teleported away that I forgot Louis. He's also small. How close by are you? Or, like, are you in the conversation, or...
Yeah, I was just with Lunalia.
Ah, cool, okay. He doesn't notice you at first, being so sort of...
Short?
Well, no, it's more like he knows Lunalia, or kind of knows her. Like, she's the daughter of, friends departed. He realizes that he's kind of been ignoring you. He bows in your direction and just says, "My friend, I cannot begin to repay you for what you did for me. That was quick thinking on your part. And I know it was a hard thing to leave your friends in such a dire situation, but you did the right thing."
They are very clever. I have the utmost confidence that they would be fine without me there.
Yes, they seem to handle themselves.
Mostly.
I got close enough to see the aftermath. There is not much left of the chalice. I found Ember's simulacrum. She was nearby, in hiding, where I instructed her to go. He looks towards the Minted Terrace, and you can see it from here. A wisp of dark smoke still rises. I think that was her sign. I think that I sent her there to cause a distraction. And their leader claimed they took her. I've not been able to reach her. I'm worried. I think they have her. I'm going after her. No later than tonight. Earlier if I think I can get away with it.
Well, if she's being kept where the others are being kept, we believe we know where that is.
Good. Were you able to extract information from one of them? Did you take one captive?
Yes. She's keeping an eye out to make sure that nobody is getting too close to listen. I'm going to make a perception.
No, I'll let everybody's perception check stand.
Okay.
He looks around. I think we have some time. And he, there's some crates, some closed crates stacked up nearby. He slowly walks over and just unceremoniously sits down on one of them, folding his cloak aside as he does. The illusion that he's chosen looks roughly like him, human, a little bit shorter, a little bit wider. But as he sits down and looks about, he changes it again so that you see his real face. He's still wearing, traveler's clothes and just a brown nondescript cloak, a hooded cloak, but you see his real face.
Is that wise? There are eyes everywhere in this town, it feels like. we were being watched last night.
I'm not too worried. And he reaches up and taps an amulet hung about his neck.
Ah,
Safe from scrying at least. Although I suppose they could see me near you. Let them look. I'm coming for them. It would mean a lot if you sat with me and spoke a bit.
is there perhaps someplace a little more isolated?
You chose the place. I thought you wanted to meet here.
Well, I suppose if there's nobody close by and we can see anyone approaching, here's as good a place as any.
And to you, it is a nice spot. The gentle lap of the waves on the pier, and the sound of gulls, of the fresh ocean air, and the fact that you can see all about you,
Mm-hmm.
and know that your friends are nearby. It's probably not a bad spot.
She can't really peel her eyes off of the giant dwarf standing 60 feet away.
Yeah. What's Noro doing? Is he like talking to anybody, or is he just kind of standing around, just hanging out?
So what I'm picturing is the scene from the Goonies where when it says, "All right, kid, how did it all started?" And then they're about to put his hand in the blender.
Yep.
Okay, so he's doing that about being a dwarf and why he was this tall in the same manner.
I
Is he-
see.
Was he like telling a story?
Yes. Like,
And then, there's one time when I was 3.
But he's making it all up?
yes.
Make a performance check, man. Actually, yeah, deception or performance, your choice.
I am performing. That's what I'm going to do here. Oh.
Noro is putting on a one-man play about the story of his dwarvish upbringing, enhanced by the fact that he actually worked with a type of dwarves anyway. Some of the Duragar culture slips into his story, and it draws some strange looks from this growing audience of dock workers and sailors. Nevertheless, this massive dwarf has a small crowd enraptured by this story.
That's hilarious.
Oh, shit. Sorry, guys.
Fucking awesome. So good. Kaldrum gets real quiet for a little bit. Heaves a long sigh. He says, I looked in on you from time to time from afar in the years since the incident. The woman and her kind who looked after you after then wouldn't let me near. I sent coin. I don't know if it made it to them or was accepted or it helped. As druids are so far detached from civilization, I don't know if the coin even found them.
I'm not sure if it did. Perhaps. I've never really put much use in coin. Not then, anyway. I still don't have much use for it. I rely on Louis and the others to tell me when something is a bargain or the opposite.
You seem to have surrounded yourself with capable friends.
They are definitely friends.
That is something I miss. When I saw your mother's face on you, it broke me. His voice begins to crack a bit. I wasn't there when she died. I should have been. could have saved her, or at least tried.
I don't know if anyone was there when she died. I was the one that found her, after all.
Were you near?
I was nearby.
And your father?
There was no trace of him. I assumed for years that he was either immolated or burnt to cinders or just evaporated.
Louis, are you hanging out close enough to hear all of this?
Yeah, though, I mean, a conversation that seems more private I've stepped back from, but I'm still within earshot.
No, she wouldn't. She would have included him.
Kildrum says, I held out hope for a long time that your father had survived somehow. Perhaps flung into another realm, separated from his keystone, hoping he'd eventually find a way back, but it's been this long and there's no sign of him. Surely if he were alive, he'd be here with us now. He would have found a way back. He was not... He was a man without many limits to his abilities and his intellect.
He was brilliant.
Do you know what it is we built?
I only know that it has something to do with the elemental planes. Perhaps something to do with portals. I should mention that I've been told that the town near where I grew up no longer exists, swallowed by portals.
It's unfortunate.
Some of the things that they say that you have done are rather vilifying.
I have to admit...
Is there any truth to them?
Well, I have to admit there are limits that must be stretched when making discoveries. In the name of arcane science. I'm sure your friend here will understand. We sought to construct a nexus. A planar nexus. Louis, you've heard of Sigil, the city of doors.
Oui, but I have not heard of it. I have just read of it a little bit.
Well, someday I hope that you find your way there. It is, for our persuasion, one of the great wonders of the plains. We sought to create our own nexus where one could travel from plane to plane. One separate from the politics and oversight that plagues Sigil. One that was free for all to use, open for all. But not just for the purposes of linking planes together for travel, but also to harness the infinite energies within each. Think of how far we could advance our relatively primitive civilization with access to an unending source of primal energy. We toiled for weeks, then months, that became years, drawing out an infinitely small thread from each of the planes, carefully shaping, layering, splitting, twisting, interweaving their sums into a convergence. We found the prime material unique, that it hosts or can host any element of each of the other planes within it without that element reacting with the native ecology of this plane, so long as it's presented in a controlled manner and quantity. Universal recipient, so to speak, One of my colleagues went so far as to build a rudimentary model of the planes, proclaiming the Prime as the perfect center of known existence, spitting in the face of those that hold Sigil as the center of the planar wheel.
Which colleague was this? One of the names from my book, perhaps.
Well, there were only 4. Nostric.
Nostric Galir.
Yes. Brilliant fellow, little batty, but the visionary of our group. He was.
Is.
Oh. Well, good. I reference him in the past tense as our group is no more, at least has not been for some time. Yes, it was his idea to use the prime material as the anchor point for our work, as opposed to slipping into another dimension, another plane, starting somewhere else, Outland perhaps, where Sigil is just a different part of it. We started small at first, using the prime material as a palette to blend our cosmic paints into a new work of art, creating a pocket dimension, infinitesimally small, drawing strands of essence from the elemental planes together into that space, weaving them in a complex pattern. We constrained our work only to the planes of the elements first. Given their simple primal nature as well as their raw power potential, they seemed the obvious choice for experimentation. We managed to keep our work secret for the most part. Those who discovered what we were up to, we brought into the fold. Alistair Kane, our patron and financier, a friend of mine who rather unfortunately discovered what we were working on. But his interests aligned with ours, and, well, the man had money, and money makes everything happen.
Not everything. But I hear he is also missing. For some time.
Another who joined our fold. He kind of looks towards Louis, and his eyes narrow. Well, a fellow not unlike your friend here. In fact, good sir, you do remind me of our friend Fizwick. An alchemist. He brought a unique view that actually was the final key to finishing our prototype. He viewed the blending of planar essences not as folded and forged sheets or spun and woven thread, but as a mixture of fluids, heterogeneous, each of them, where each remains its own distinct identity, but through the application of constant and unending force blends near perfectly with its peers. From Flane, I believe he was. As are you?
Oui, and so I've never heard of this Fizwick before.
Well, he called himself Stop Bottle, but I believe his Flanish family name was Le Bouchon, which is Flanish or French for cork. And at that mention, you are aware of a few distant relatives with that family name. Perhaps not a big tie-in, but perhaps this. Imagine there aren't that many gnomes in Flane, and this might be someone a distant cousin, something.
Oui, the Bouchons, they were an odd bunch, but they built more in alchemy than I ever did.
Well, you're never too old to learn is something I've often said. We finished our first version of the Nexus. And when we did, we stopped a moment to catch our respective breaths, and then, as it does, life happened. He looks at Linalia and says, specifically you. We thought our work was carefully contained, but your very existence is a testament to how wrong we were. Your birth caused enough concern for us to pause our work, to understand its impact on the world around us, and so the Nexus remained as it was, a room with only 4 doors, the keys to which only its 4 creators held. He holds up his gloved hand and conjures in it an image of a round stone with a shifting ethereal glow that looks very familiar. And as quickly as he conjures it, he closes his fingers and it disappears.
She's just gonna put her hand on her, belt pouch. That's where she keeps hers.
Okay. Your father worked tirelessly to understand how you came into being. He never said it out loud, but I'm certain he sought a way to reverse your plain-touched nature and restore your full elvish heritage. I sought understanding in a different way. I saw your existence as a wonder of our own creation, and eventually was able to replicate such a wonder with my own adopted children. And he nods sort of in the direction down the dock from which he came, and you can see another cloaked figure there with a soft glow from underneath her hood. Standing about 60 feet away, looking very casual, just leaned up against a stack of crates. Ember and Ignis. It wasn't without consequence, and he removes his expensive-looking delicate gloves, waves a horribly burned hand over his face, and you now for the first time see his true visage, which is entirely half of his face is very scarred with burns, hair missing on one side, half of his head is just scar tissue. And again, as quickly as he drops the illusion, he waves a hand, and his face is whole again. Prior to our planar work, people of the elements, the Genasi as they're called, were only known to be of the planes of elements, or progeny of those who traveled here from there, but you and those who followed are something new. Plane-touched, of this world but also of another. It's truly remarkable, and I'm worried. I'm worried that the Order is not just after Genasi to send them home to corral this planar conflux that seems to be happening, but I think they're after you and those like you. Like Ember, like Ignis, wherever he is. I think they intend to undo what we did in the worst way.
Is there any truth to the Order sending people back? Are some from the plains? Or are they as misguided or misinformed as I believe, sending innocent people through portals to places they've never been?
He smiles and he nods and says, I've been around a while. I think probably longer than your friend here. And he nods in Louis' direction. I have met Genasi before. Not many. Perhaps not even as many as there are Dragonborn, or looks down the dock towards the massive dwarf, now surrounded by about 15 sailors. Or Goliaths. But there are a few. To a one, they have always been a child of other genasi or directly from a planar, an elemental plane. Whatever the Order's up to, if they're seeking to undo what we've done, I suppose it's believable that they simply wish to send them home. But there are genasi who have lived on the Prime Material for a very long time. Surely they cannot be the cause or the solution of this planar discord.
We did question one of their acolytes, and he does believe that they are doing good work in sending these displaced people's home in order to repair the damage done by these rifts that have been opening. However, it was revealed that their superiors, at least one of them, was working under completely different set of rules. Maybe it's true for the rest of the organization. And she'll explain about Bald Tattoo Man.
That certainly is troubling. I will admit I am not the most studied of the abyssal planes and their denizens, but I have heard of Orcus. Although I do not know much about his history or current situation, this sounds like men who are up to no good. Well, it seems our business aligns beyond the transfer of dragon parts. I will find them, and I will retrieve her. If you wish to join me, here I am.
I do. We do know of a place where some are being kept sheltered, safe.
The compound on the Minted Terrace, you say?
No,
Oh. Sheltered and safe. I'm sorry, I mistook what you said.
they're being harbored. Not far from here, I believe.
Well. Keep their secret. I won't ask where. But I hope whoever watches over them is someone you trust. And someone with the means to keep them hidden.
I believe so. I have not met with them as of yet. But I will help you. I can't speak for my friends, but I will help you.
Help him do what exactly?
Free my people. If Ember is being kept where the others are being kept, the ones that we spoke of last night, then I intend to see them free. I don't believe they are being sent through any portals to their homes.
This is a good thing. We free these people. We help them. We on board. But what I do not know about is these portals to the other planes and harvesting the energy from these other planes. I do not know that it's wise to do this work, and I do not know that this is something we should assist with.
As far as I know, the work has been done. My worry is that my father's and your work.
Is this
Councilman,
work that is still happening right
I
now?
believe somebody has
And
taken up their work.
could this have anything to do with
I don't think RF can hear us.
the disappearing Janasi?
RF, can you hear us?
There he is.
There we go.
We could hear you just fine.
Sorry, was I like talking over you?
Yep, that's okay.
It's all right. The important thing is we could hear you, and you got it all out.
Yeah, Lunalia would say that her concern is that the work has been done to whatever extent that my father and his group of colleagues, took it, but that somebody else has now been working on this research. And that's why we're seeing the effects now, after all this time. So she wants to know who's gotten a hold of this research, who's continuing the work in a horribly unsafe manner. And is there any truth to the possibility that her father could potentially be alive? Trapped on a plane somewhere.
D'accord. I just the idea of using energy from other planes is not good.
No, we need to find out who is doing this work.
Well, I assure you, it couldn't be me. My headstrong ward, Ignis, absconded with my keystone some time ago. I've lost my ability to access the Nexus. Your father's, I can only assume, was lost with him. I do not know where the others have gone. You said Alistair has gone missing.
Yes. His son was looking for him. We worked together for a time, searching for answers in Corrado.
He did not have a keystone, as he was really only involved financially. Only asked for updates from time to see how the work was going. I believe he saw this as a long-term investment, and not something he really cared to get his hands on.
Did he have access to any of the research? Is it possible that he is now funding someone else to further the work?
I can only say this because of his relative distance from our project, that it is possible, but I have known him for a very long time, and I would not assume immediately that he would. Nor would I believe he...
Nostric would be continuing the work. He's in hiding.
Yeah, says he's been for a very long time. The man won't respond to my summons. He's all but cut ties with all of us. He had a rather... Well, he's an opinionated man, and he had a rather strong opinion of our influence on this plane after your birth. I doubt he'd do anything again. But he might still have a keystone. The keystone might reveal who else is, well, if anyone, is doing something with the Nexus.
In what way?
Would allow one to go there.
You said there are 4 of these keystones. The last one was last seen in the possession of Fizwick.
I'm not certain. I haven't seen Fizwick in some time. He's a rather strange fellow and disappears from time to time.
Didn't you say that Ignis absconded with his?
Mm-hmm. You've seen Ignis use it.
Yes.
He used it to leave.
Right, because he opened a portal to a fiery place.
Yep.
But you have not seen Fizwick in a long time, but the last you heard of this fourth keystone, it was with Fizwick, oui?
Yes. One with Ignis, one lost with her father. One with Fizwick.
And where is the other?
Presumably with Nostric, but he won't answer anyone's summons. Yeah, you would remember he had his own sort of demi-plane that he was hiding in.
Right.
And I don't recall entirely, but he intended to even move from that place to
Yes.
someplace even more secluded to get away from the Order. Because they were, when you first encountered the Order, they were after him big time.
Yeah. Can these keys be used to find the other keys?
Perhaps. I've never tried it. I've never had a need to until now, but
I'm just wondering if this is maybe one of the ways your colleagues are being tracked down. Perhaps one of the Order or their higher-ups have gotten a hold of one. Perhaps whoever is furthering this project.
well, it's certainly something to keep our eyes open for when we go after them. I did attempt to find your father through his key after he disappeared. More than once, actually, but it was veiled from my eyes. I am not sure how.
She gonna make an insight check?
Yeah, that would seem weird to you because you found it, like, in the fucking dirt in what was left of your house. Just, like, in the dirt. Like, literally 6 months ago. Like, it's just been sitting there in the dirt for all these years.
Yeah. So does she get a sense that he's telling the truth, lying, mistaken?
There is something there. It's not an untruth. It is more to the story. He seems to be honest about not being able to find it. It annoys him more than it should. The fact that there is that your father's keystone is perhaps still out there. Like, how do I put this? He said straight up that he held out hope for a very long time that your father was still alive. And in saying that, he hopes the keystone is still intact as well, although the fact that your father never made it back means that the keystone is lost or whatever. But it is a point of consternation for him that he can't find that keystone. And there's more to the story. There's something he's not telling you.
What is it you're not telling me?
What do you mean?
You're clearly holding back some information. I just get a feeling.
I don't know what
She's
you're...
just blunt.
I don't know what you're after. But ask and I'll answer. Yeah, you're going to have to ask. He's not going to give anything away.
You seem to be greatly vexed about not being able to find my father's keystone. More so, it seems, than being able to find my father.
when Ignis took mine, I renewed my efforts to find another, in the hopes I could find the boy and set him straight. He is so very misguided. Something's gotten into his head. You can see him visibly starting to get worked up over this. Gave him everything. I saved him from streets in that little city. He and his sister were stealing bread to live, living in alleys and filth. I gave them a life, I gave them everything. Gave them power. Made them something new. Something wonderful, and this is how he repays me.
Did you ask him? We know that you experimented on them. Made them into what they are. You say you gave them everything, but you clearly did not give them the freedom that they wanted.
His mouth moves, but no words come out. I made them better. I made them like you. Ember didn't seem to have a problem with it. She's thankful for what I gave her. More than thankful. You don't know what they were like before. Hollow shells of children who'd seen too much. The fire cleansed them, made them anew. Pure, perfect beings. You notice he now can't really look you in the eye anymore. Like there's some shame, but there's also sort of he's kind of realized there's a disconnect there where you won't understand how he feels about this.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of shut down
understand.
a little bit.
She doesn't understand either. She'll say to him that perhaps he, unlike his sister, was just looking for a father, not an experimenter, a captor, a teacher. You gave him everything, but maybe you just... Not enough of a father's love sometimes can alter a person.
He gets real quiet. Scribble, you're not particularly well disguised or anything, right? You just look like yourself and are hanging out?
Yeah.
Okay. Make a perception check. It's been long enough. We'll wipe clean your old roll and let you make a fresh one.
But it was a good one. This one was even better.
I was gonna say 11's not great, and 9's not better. All right, that's cool. Keldrum takes a deep breath and lets it out slowly. Well, I'm after them tonight. No later.
I'll need to check with the others to see if they will help as well.
Of course. I don't have a place to stay that is safe in the city. So we'll keep moving. We will keep moving. Looks down the dock behind him and raises a hand. And the simulacrum of Ember is your way. She comes up to within a few feet and stops. You can see the glow of her fiery hair. While it appears fiery, does not seem to actually burn the hooded cloak that she wears.
Yeah, that would suck.
It glows from beneath, and her eyes glow a fiery yellow red, contrasting her dark skin. A passive expression on her face. She just stands there awaiting orders. Keldrum says,
Unfortunately, we don't have a place to stay either, so you'll have to just contact me when you're ready to go.
right. Well, the Minted Terrace has guards about. Simple enough for the two of us to make it past them with an illusion or a trick of the mind. You... He looks back towards Noro. Might have a more challenging time. Although there is said to be a dangerous climb from below.
Well, we are nothing if not excellent at climbing. That was sarcasm.
You can see he's kind of lost in thought, staring at the terrace now. Well. Here, and he draws a piece of paper, a folded piece of parchment, from under his cloak and hands it to you. As you unfold it, you can see it's a very simple map, with a bunch of, small squares and larger squares on it. You would imagine roughly reflecting the various homes and estates on the Minted Terrace. And there is one in particular that has a circle around it. This is where she was. I will be watching this place, and I move at sundown. If you want to find me, if you want to work with me, you will find me nearby. Louis.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Although we've already exchanged pleasantries. Do you know the sending incantation, and do you have it prepared?
No, unfortunately, I do not.
Well, I will contact you at dusk.
C'est bon. That sounds good.
I think we've stayed a little too long. Let's go, shall we? He looks at the simulacrum, and she just nods and follows him quietly.
It might be useful if you have some extra time to maybe just scribe a scroll of the sending spell for me. And after that, I can use it and we can communicate. No problem.
He agrees as long as you tell the DM how that works, because I don't remember and I'm too lazy to look it up.
Yeah, you can take a couple hours to make a scroll of something.
Okay. Actually, it's faster for you, isn't it? Because you're and it costs you less. Because you're a scroll guy.
Yeah, I can scribe them or like transcribe them into my spell book really quickly, but that doesn't help him do it.
No, but if he shows you or lends you his spell book, you could do it out of his, right?
If you let Scribble look at the spell book, he can memorize it,
Yeah.
draw it, and then you can scribe it.
I don't think it. That's a stretch.
Yeah, I don't think that would work, but I can.
I mean, I don't know. It is kind of like using a photocopier to copy a page out of a math book. The photocopier doesn't
I
know
mean,
math.
really, isn't Scribble just a copier anyway?
Yeah, but technically, a wizard's spellbook is not just like it is like their own personal notes and yada yada of
Yeah,
how to
yeah.
do this, and just having a Xerox of that wouldn't necessarily.
No, but you could take Scribble's copy and do it yourself, is what I'm saying.
I would say that you and Kaldrim working together could produce a scroll using your class benefits. Catch any of that? You and Kaldrim working together off of his spellbook could produce a scroll using your class benefits.
It says the time you must take to copy a spell into your spellbook equals 2 minutes per spell level if you use the quill. My magic, my thing. So I think that's what's sending third level.
6 minutes. Yeah. You don't have the sending spell in your book at all, right?
Correct. Yeah, I don't know it.
If you have the materials that you need to transcribe the spell, he will spend the 6 minutes while Ember stands watch. He'll just open his spellbook right there on the crate, and he just says, "Let's do this here." I'm quite surprised you don't. Do you not get out much? Do you not have friends worth talking to at distance?
No.
Louis doesn't have friends.
I did not realize this was a question that you asked someone, but the answer is no. I have nobody that I really enjoy talking to that much. That's why I have the books. Just me and Pierre.
Alright, so, you learn the sending spell, at which point you should... I don't recall if you have to have the spell prepared to create a scroll from it. He does, and I'll just hand-wave that as he can help you do that if you need it. But if you have the materials or the coin to create the scroll, then go ahead and create the scroll.
I can't create it, but if he can, that should work.
You can't create it because...
I don't have it memorized. Like, I think you need it to be memorized.
Ah, do you have to have it prepared? Okay.
Yeah, prepared, yeah.
He'll go ahead and create it, but let's apply whatever your class benefit is. It's reduced time and cost, right? Or does that not count for creating scrolls?
Yeah, that actually doesn't count for creating scrolls. I think maybe the best bet is that you send me a message with sending later tonight, and then after that, tomorrow I can cast it if I need to.
Okay. Here we go. A third level spell. Oh my god, it takes a work week to create a third level spell scroll. 500 gold in a work week. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's why Caleb Widowgast always had so much downtime and spent it in the library.
God, it's why nobody ever uses scrolls unless they find them.
Mm-hmm.
Because why would you spend a week and 500 gold for an extra third level spell?
Yeah.
Also, there's a 10% chance of complications. So,
They're also expensive.
yeah. But like, they're almost pointless unless you find them as treasure. Okay. Or if you have a very specific use for one, like you're planning a heist and you want to give, I don't even know. You want to give people who knows?
We'll just have to get him to message us.
You can't give Noro a spell scroll and have him cast it, so that's the point. All right. Yeah, no, he agrees to send you a message at dusk. And then they take off.
Nice.
Lunalia's going to sneak over to the crowd around Noro and catch the tail end of his story.
The crowd's starting to disperse. Noro, make another performance check. Let's just see how well you've held up in 15 minutes of
Okay.
space here that you've filled.
Come on, Nat 20. Oh.
The story's soured a bit, and the crowd's dispersed. There are 3 fishermen and a couple of dock hands still hanging around, but a couple of them are chatting with each other. Noro appears to be doing his best, but you've reached the point of the story where he's obviously just trying to fill space, and the story is dipping dangerously into some of his real adventures, and starting to sound a little more fantastic than is believable. Even though you guys have done some pretty fantastic stuff. Rogar, Scribble, you guys notice that the conversation is done, and Scribble, you would see that Kaldrum and Ember, he with his face altered and her with her hood drawn down around her face as far as possible, make their way past you quietly. He does nod towards you as they walk past you.
And just nod back.
All right. Well, as the party gathers on the docks, or perhaps on the promenade nearby, to discuss what they wish to do next, I wanted to see if you guys be okay if we took a quick 5-minute break.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna pause the stream. If you guys want to keep talking, please feel free. Stream And we're back. And so, with the conversation at the docks concluded, the party reassembles from their various positions around the harbor to perhaps review what happened and go on to the next thing. What are you guys as a group doing as you reassemble?
Well, I think Lunalia and Louis would fill the others in on, the important parts of the conversation. And then she would say, he intends to attack tonight he intends to go and get Ember out tonight, and I would very much like to join him to free my people. Louis has said that he's in, but it's up to you guys whether you want to join or not.
Are we just
Osi-
gonna knock?
I do not know, but we did get some monies, though. Got some spoils. Do we want to maybe split those up?
I mean, do we want to do this right now, right here?
We can wait if we want, but
She's just gonna hand it all to Scribble.
oh no, even worse.
All right, my cut.
Freaking scribble.
So I think that's 2,000 gold each.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you guys
Is
want
it in platinum though?
Yeah, it's in platinum
So
trade
200
bars.
platinum each. This should just be a quick minute to divide. We have a little bit of
We got loads of time. It's
safety
just
here.
past dawn.
We.
So,
Okay.
is there a plan for going to this?
He didn't lay one out for us. He did give us this map. So she'll
Would I
hand that over
recognize
to Scribble.
anything on the map?
Yes. Scribble, I'll leave it to you to tell me how many times you've been to the Minted Terrace in your time in the city. It is the Beverly Hills of Dralamar. It is the rich part of town. It has a guard post at its entrance, which is just off Champion's Ascent, which is the rise up to the top of Castle Rock, where sort of the more official government buildings, administrative buildings, the White Bastion, the Dawnlight Cathedral are at. To get past the guards, one would have to... they're not... It's kind of like a gated community. If you obviously are rich, you're not even going to get stopped. But if you look like you, or, a scrub, or an adventuring party, you need to have a good reason to convince the guards, and it's like a border crossing. It's totally up to the guards to hassle you or let you through. It's entirely their discretion. The only people they answer to are, like, if they let somebody through they shouldn't have, they might catch shit for it later. So, if you look like a bunch of scrubs or a bunch of rowdy adventurers, they're gonna stop you and give you a hard time. If you look rich, they'll let you right on through. There are guard patrols you would know about, but it's up to you to tell me how many times you've actually been in the Minted Terrace and around.
Yeah, I think I would just know, like, the very basics, kind of like what you just described. I wouldn't know the details or anything like that.
Then the map looks as accurate as you could imagine. It's rather crude, and it doesn't give you much intel, but it does point you to the compound, the small like estate house and grounds around it that they seem to be calling their home or their base for now. It's enough to get you there.
Well, Nora down for cracking skulls and
It's not a
assisting
place
the
we're
Nora.
just gonna walk into and be okay.
Well, the easiest way in would just be to use me. One of you can use the hat to look like a red-robed acolyte, or perhaps, well, I guess they'd know that what's-his-face was dead. But nevertheless, to escort another genasi to the compound. But that only gets a couple of us in.
But we don't know the compound. You would just be walking blind.
Well, he circled what building she's in.
Could we pretend you're the prisoner and you're just that much of a threat? It took this adventuring party to bring you in? I don't know.
Where are you guys at while you're having this conversation? You're sort of walking down the promenade in the docks district, or are you making your way
think so.
somewhere, or...
We don't really have anywhere to go.
Linalia, with your passive perception... Actually, you know what? You're still acclimatizing to the city. Rogar, you become aware that the party is being followed. You kind of notice it at first ahead of you. Several of the city guard are walking ahead of you, but one of them keeps looking back your direction. At one point, you kind of follow his gaze past you, and you see several behind you, and a couple more coming out of a side street. You estimate 10 guards in your vicinity.
Uh-oh.
I would quietly let the rest of the group know.
We're still in the docks at this point?
You're like, I mean, you tell me which way you guys are going, but you're somewhere on this promenade here, like the main strip. And it's a large, wide stone walk that has piles of crates and barrels and large timber cranes used for onloading and offloading supplies onto and off of ships, and dock workers pushing carts of things. It's a bustling dock. So it's quite busy, but it's a good 20 feet across, most of it, and wide enough and sparse enough for you to all sort of walk abreast and have a conversation while you're walking and talking. And also for it to take a while for you to notice that you're being, followed and slowly surrounded. So I'd say maybe you guys are up to, like, around here. I could probably just move the fucking token right there. There we go.
Technology, baby.
So yeah, I'd let the rest of the group know quietly that we're either being escorted or we're about to have a confrontation with some guards.
It's the guards that are looking at us?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Unless the guards are being paid by your good friend.
Unless they form up into, like, Guard Voltron and beat the crap out of you. The siren's not going away.
What should we do with these gals?
Lunali is just going to keep walking towards the ones that are walking towards her. We're not doing anything wrong.
Oh, there's guards ahead of us that are walking in the same direction as us, and then there's guards behind us that just came out of like side alleys and whatnot, which are also walking towards us.
Mm-hmm.
Mage armor.
Same thing. And Louis, can I grab the necklace from the bag of holding?
Which necklace?
The tracking one from Silas.
Yeah, of course. And I pull it out and hand it to him.
I'm just gonna put it on.
Okay.
Well, I'd say we keep walking and see what they want.
You guys get a little bit further, and from a side street to your right, two guards flanking a well-armored knight. No helm. His dirty blonde hair is neatly parted. He has a helmet under one arm, a shield slung at his back, and a ornate long sword at his hip. Takes a few steps ahead of the guards that flank him. Halt! You all there. We need you to come with us.
To where?
I have some questions for you.
Who does?
Who are you?
We have some questions for you, not the other way around. Come on. You see the guards about you move in closer.
And how many of them are there?
12 now, including the two that 12, including the two that flank him, not including him. So 12 plus him. Fireball.
You can at least tell us where you're taking us. And on whose authority?
As a captain of the City Watch, my authority. As to where we're taking you, back to the garrison for some questions. Where things go from there, I suppose, is up to you. You're not being charged with anything. We just want to talk.
Rogar's just going to lean down to scribble. Whereabouts are the garrisons?
There is one here that you're aware of, Scribble. You know what, here, let me just put them on the map. Change color. One there. You're sure there's a big one up on Castle Rock, but you're not entirely sure where it's at. There is a small, on Aspirant's Rise, on one of the lower rises, there's a small compound there. And you're aware of a couple other buildings of official design in the city that probably have a handful of guards stationed in them. But these garrisons support a majority of the city guard and are located strategically in different wards of the city to, to quell an uprising, to deal with a major crime, to repel an invasion, coming in from the sea or from one of the major gates, that sort of thing.
And what do you want us to admit to?
As I said, questions. Let's move. He turns and turns on a heel and makes quickly northward. The guards behind you now crowd in. 6 of them, with halberds and pikes. Just crowding in close. You heard the man. Let's go. Is anybody doing anything other than following him?
Garrisons are technically along the way.
Is this how you treat all the guests to your city?
Does Noro still look like the giant dwarf?
Yeah, does he?
I would imagine.
Yes.
Alright.
Oh. Rogar will start walking.
Lunalia's walking too. Is this how you escorted the rest of my people in the city?
You don't manage to get his attention the rest of the way. He just ignores you. You reach the garrison building. It is a tall keep, fortified with heavy stone walls. It looks a little out of place here in such a metropolitan port city. As you enter it, there is a massive iron portcullis and huge doors that can be shut and barred. It's a very defensible location. Within are weapons racks, benches, and various small offices. Towards the back of the building, there's a large double-wide stone stairway that winds down out of sight, ostensibly to a dungeon. Above you, there are multiple floors. The timber floors above you can hear booted feet on. There must be barracks and other rooms above. You're led into a large, like a reception room. I'd call it an office, but it's much bigger and has simple benches, a desk at the front. And several of the guards crowd into the room around you. You're not relieved of any weapons or equipment, but you are brought into this room to talk.
Well, we're here. Now, could you explain why you've detained us?
He looks at Scribble. You're of interest. Would like to
To
keep...
who?
I'm not talking to you. Shut your mouth. You're of interest, Kenku. We'll
I'm
keep your
always of
friends
interest.
here while you visit the Master of Coin. If things go well, they'll be released.
Wait, Master of Coin.
And you couldn't tell us that outside.
He just glares at you. Are we in agreement?
Do you like causing this scene?
Are we in agreement?
I'm gonna reach in my pouch and pull out a sending stone. Why didn't you just ask?
He shrugs. I don't know.
Let's go.
All right, then. He leads you out the door, and up a circular stone stairwell. 2 floors.
Just scribble, right?
Just Scribble. The rest of you are left in this room. rather large, like think a small chapel. You know, benches lined up. Surrounded by guards, just left to wait.
Linnelia's going to work on her bone carving.
Rogar. As Scribble leaves the room, after a handful of minutes, you become very aware of a buzzing in the back of your head. And maybe breakfast didn't sit right? You're not sure. There's a foul feeling in the pit of your stomach.
Uh-oh.
Make a, I don't know, make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, Christ.
It nearly overcomes you, but you manage to fight it down. And as you do, there is a strange pull in your mind in a direction behind, above, and to your left. You turn, and as you do, you almost like locking in on a laser beam. You hone in on it, and you can sense something. There is a pull, and every time you look in that direction, the pit of your stomach drops. You're certain there is something dark in that direction. Scribble, as you mount the stairs and make your way up to the 3rd floor of this keep, you are led into a very comfortable looking, smaller office with a balcony that has a view of the harbor. From this vantage point, you can see quite a ways. There is a fair amount of light filling this space. It's a nice room, but the dressings in this room make it look like it was thrown together hastily for someone. Sitting behind a desk, facing away from you with a large goblet in his hand of what you can only assume is wine. You see the top of a bald head in the chair, and as the chair spins around slowly, creaking, it is Ham and Sam. He just stares down at you, his long face towering above you, sitting. He seems to be impossibly tall. The man is probably a good 6'8", 6'9", very lanky, with a very, very long face.
Quite the welcome party.
I thought it best to speak in private.
So you sent 20 guards?
A show. For you. To remind you of the station I hold in this city. Now, I've become aware that you've been involved in some frivolity within my fine city. Care to explain?
Which time?
Perhaps the time a well-known establishment burnt to the ground. Perhaps the time you were seen meeting by starlight with a known criminal. Any other fun you'd like to tell me about?
Well, there were the 3 people that I burn up.
He just kind of nods, and a small smile starts to spread across his face. Tell me, did you kill them for the Red Man, or to spite him. His mouth kind of hangs open at the last word, expectantly.
Well, they upset a friend of mine. So I did it for myself.
Good. I like people who take initiative, do things for themselves. He reaches down to a large silvered platter with what looks like strips of raw meat on it, still bloody. And as he plucks one from it, the raw strip of meat sort of swinging limply between his fingers, you pick up a hint of exotic spices.
Spice?
He pops the morsel into his mouth hole and... quite as fresh as I would have liked. Would you like to try some? I had it brought in just this morning.
What is it?
Why, it's the freshest of meats.
But what kind of meat?
Well, try it and guess. We'll call it a little game.
That's okay, I prefer my meat cooked.
Ah, shame. Well, more from me, I suppose. And he pops another piece of meat in his mouth. Chews it rather loudly, as if to show off. Gulps down some wine. Places the goblet on the table. Grabs a white lace napkin and blots, dabs at his lower lip, absent-mindedly. Ah, well, down to business, as it were. Do you intend to work for Silas? He steeples his fingers in front of him.
Did you pay 20,000 gold for someone to watch a building burn?
Someone did. Let's be clear, the Crimson Order does what they wish. If, and I emphasize, if I were involved, if anyone in an official capacity were involved, it would have been to look the other way, at most. Rogar,
Shame.
that feel... You're reminded of how you felt at the excuse me, at the Chalice the night before. Sitting and staring at that doorway across the bar. A door you never went through. A few members of the Crimson Order came out of that door. But there was something else there, something that made you feel very poorly. And you feel that now, looking off in the direction your friend went.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you work for the Red Man? Or would you work for me? Or perhaps, he smiles, both.
So you're offering me 2 jobs now?
Well, you see, he's a colleague of mine of sorts. We came to this place in similar states, clawed our way up from the bottom. But at some point we went different directions. He preferring to lurk in shadows and have his underlings do his bidding, always holding them under his thumb. I chose to rise to a station where I could elevate those who care about me and whom I care about. As you can see, and he waves a long-fingered hand about him. Something doesn't look right about that hand as it passes your eyes. My path has benefits. Power, control, opportunity. While he lurks in the shadows, I reign. If you help me wound him, I can help you reign, perhaps over your own choice of streets, districts within this place, perhaps a Gloomlight Alley you wish to own. Help those you care about within it. I ask you not to pledge your allegiance to me, but to work for me for a time. Help me deal with the fly in the ointment that Silas has become. To send him a clear message that Dralamar belongs to me. Help him
How would you have
realize...
that done?
Sorry, say that again?
And how would you have that done?
For now, get close to him. He hasn't offered to help you with anything yet, has he? Come to you in a time of need, perhaps?
No, but I understand that's how he works.
Yes. Do not make the same mistake that so many others have done. Do not fall into his debt. He will respect you more for avoiding his hand in a time of need. It will allow you to get closer to him, and then when the time is right and you deliver me the proper information about him, I will give you the tools you need to make it clear to him his business should be elsewhere. He takes another strip of meat off the tray. Looks at it longingly as he twists it between his fingers. Pops it in his mouth.
So how close am I to him?
You are standing across a small, well-decorated office from him. 10 feet.
So is there any other like empty glasses next to his wine?
There is a platter with the decanter on it, half full of wine. There looks like there were 2 goblets on it. There is still one left on the tray. as if
So not the one he was drinking from.
not the one he's drinking from. There is an empty one still left on the tray.
I'm just gonna walk over to it and pour myself a glass.
All right. He watches you with a look of curiosity on his face and smiles as he sees you taking the initiative to take something for yourself.
And then, do I feel anything from the necklace that I have on around?
No. No, you don't. But I don't know if you would, based on...
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if...
If anything, you feel there might be just a slight warmth from it. Perhaps just a bit of arcane warmth. But you might be imagining it. It might just be your mind playing tricks on you, or you being extremely aware of it in this setting.
Yeah, so I'll just take a sip of the wine and then just kind of, not as good as the other liquor I took.
Good. I like one who takes initiative, and it is always best for you to enter into an agreement with eyes open and of your own free will. My competitor, my dear colleague, the streets below, he pretends to give that choice of free will to people, but in reality, he does not often offer it. It is the worst of bargains. Tell me, what do you know about the Crimson Order?
Well, we came to make a business deal. They showed up, attacked us with a couple dogs, tried to burn the place down, and now a couple of them are dead.
And, if I may be so bold as to ask, why are they after you?
I don't know. It sounded like they were after someone else.
Do you know whom?
They kicked in the door and yelled for mages and attacked a few people.
The broker was there with you, was he not?
The broker of our deal?
Yes. Lasarin. I know him well enough.
Yes, he was there.
Purchased something from him a while ago. I give you my word he will be escorted home safely if you deliver him to me. And watched over. I will not let the order affect citizens of my city anymore.
I believe he's okay. But I'll give him your offer
Good.
if I see him.
Bring him to this garrison, none other. The captain is a dear comrade of mine. Will handle him well.
I will give him the offer if he chooses to come. It will be his choice.
That is fair. What do you intend to do next in my city?
How like high up is the Master of Coin?
Your understanding is he is high up enough to have a lot of influence. He has control over the city's finances, which basically enables everything to happen within the city. It is a little... It probably makes sense that he's asking you to bring this guy to bring Lacerda to this garrison, to his buddy, because he probably doesn't have a whole lot of effect over the city guard, over the military.
Okay.
He's definitely in more of a position to have, influence over business and commerce, as well as have, a seat at the table in the White Bastion. Relatively high position of power for an administrative position, relatively low position of power politically, I guess is a good way of saying it. It's a good spot for an influencer, a person with some criminal intent to sit, because they could have their fingers in a lot of pies, but not be super high profile politically.
And it's been 2 days since we got here, and the armor was going to take a week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, judging by the first 2 days in the city, I'll probably burn a couple more buildings down, get in a few more fights, and then be on my way.
He leans forward a little bit, looming over you, and raises one long bony finger. No more mischief. Unless you clear it with me first, or there will be consequences.
Can I burn a building down in the South Bank's Commons?
South Bank? His lips curl into a smirk of disdain. As you wish. Anything else?
How about a couple merchants missing from the market district?
Which ones?
I don't know yet.
Are you toying with me, my dear Kenku?
When I woke up this morning, I didn't expect to be escorted here by a group of guards when you could have just sent for me.
Hmm.
Why did you give me this stone anyway? And I'm gonna just toss the stone to him.
He looks at it as it slides across the desk.
I'm gonna like toss it like at him for him to catch it.
Oh, you toss that in for him to catch it?
Hits him in the head and kills him.
No, it actually does not. He catches it deftly. There is an oddness to the way that his hand flies up to catch it. You can't quite put your finger on it, as he puts his fingers on it. But there's just an oddness in the way his hand moves. And he grasps the stone, deftly rolls it over in his long fingers, places it back on the desk within reach of you. As I said, I wanted to make a display to show you You're in my city. Keep that. You wish to raise some mischief? Ask. I shall grant it. I just wish to know before you act. It is not a courtesy the Crimson Order extended to me, and as such, they are no longer welcome. As he says that, he raises a finger and sort of jabs it in midair in front of you.
Well, I'll let you know before the building goes up the next time.
If there's any way you could be more discreet, perhaps don't burn the building. Ah, well, that doesn't seem to be how you operate. Pity. You're kinda cut for far stealthier work. Well?
But what fun is that?
I suppose. You and Silas will make a good pair. Just remember my offer. And if you see fit, bring me something I can work with. You may go. He holds a long-fingered hand up towards the door. And your friends are safe to leave as well. He raises his voice so the guard captain outside the door can hear him.
I'll grab the sending stone. And then I will head on outside.
Alrighty. Rogar, the feeling that you got leaves you suddenly. About 20 seconds before Scribble gets back. So fast so that it leaves your head spinning. And as you're recovering from the sudden ill feeling and then the sudden departure of it, Scribble returns. The guard captain with him, and he says, you're all free to go. The conversation went well. And he just turns and leaves.
Looks like we get to burn a building down.
And I think, unless you guys want to go any longer, we could end it there tonight.
No, I should probably end it there.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Sounds alright, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna...
I hate these guys.
Yeah, Rogar wants to get the hell out of this building. Would anyone else have noticed Rogar, like, feeling sick or anything?
You know, it depending on whether or not Lunalia was distracted by the events that had happened, like her passive perception is...
She's just been sitting there bone coughing.
Yeah, she would have noticed for sure.
I told you 2 helpings was too much.
But she might have also noticed a brief flash in Rogar's eyes. A change in color from their natural hue of, what is it, yellow?
Blue.
Blue. Lightening to a silver sheen and then returning to normal. Perhaps at a moment where he was most afflicted. And there you go. So I'm going to stop the stream, and for anybody out there, we'll see you next week.